What is going on, y'all? Gamers going here today with yet another Chicago Bulls video, and this time we are going to be ranking the mocks. We're going to be grading the kind of the rumors and the who people are mocking us right now. I'm going to start off with NBADraft.net because that is the one that is not on the Instagram list of. Yeah, it has like a breakdown of all the different sites and who they have us taking. We're gonna start off on NBA Draft Net while I'm on it on my while I'm on it here on my phone. And the first one, a guy we talked about the other day, is a guy I would really love to get into the Chicago Bulls organization. A guy that we kind of compared a little bit to Josh Hart, and that's Neat Clifford. Neat Clifford. The thing about Neat Clifford at 12 is, are there better prospects? Potentially, you're really banking off of the potential there and what players can become. I think right away, Neat Clifford is one of the better NBA ready players right now and guys that can contribute. And like we said with the Josh Hart, he has a valuable role in the NBA. And that right there really could excite some people. You're looking at a team a few picks down, and like the Thunder, they could really use a guy like Neat Clifford to kind of fill up that Lou Dort role for him. But I'm going to be honest here at 12, I like the player. I want the Bulls to draft the player, but I would have to give it a C, maybe a C plus grade. I just think the Bulls, probably need to be looking towards the big men, and if they're not looking towards the big men, they do need a forward, on a wing player like Neat Clifford. But I think there would be some other options there with maybe some more potential, and I'm talking about like the Asen Newells of the world, or a Cedric Coward or somebody. But I do think Neat Clifford, with those two, would be the better NBA player right now. But I do think that the Bulls would be more so looking for the upside of one of those two guys that I just mentioned. This is not necessarily what I would do. I mean, I would take Neat Clifford. I don't know if I'd take him over the two guys I just said, but we're ranking or grading like how strong I think the mock draft is, and Neat Clifford here at 12, one pick. This mock draft has Kamon Malawach at 13. And we're going to talk about Malawach in a little bit as well. If Malawach is on the board for the Bulls, they should immediately pick him. There should be no hesitation. They need a center. They're already really strongly considering trading Vooch. Zach Collins and Jalen Smith are not your long-term options. Well, I guess you can make them. They should not be your long-term plan at the center position. And if you have the ability to go get an interior defender on the level of Kamon Malawach, I think you do it. And then obviously with Kamon Malawach, the offensive game will need to get there. I don't think that's something that's going to be called upon early on in his career. But Neat Clifford is the pick on NBADraft.net, and we do give that a CC+. I do like the player. But in that specific mock draft, Kamon Malawach being on the board, I don't think it is a very good decision if you have some of those other guys at that big man position, or maybe even a Cedric Coward's there. I think maybe you might bank off a little bit more upside of one of those options. Now, here we go. We have two different mock drafts, Bleacher Report and Sports Illustrated. And usually, Bleacher Report and Sports Illustrated are not two of the mock drafts I really look at too deeply. Like, it gives you a good baseline. Like, well, guys are expected to go around this range, probably going to be there, right? I don't really look at them too deeply because I kind of feel like at times they just don't really look at the team construction, and it's more so kind of like how I do it in my videos. I'm not watching all the Nets games. They're not watching all the Bulls games. That's why you try to get as many opinions as you can and kind of fit as many different concepts from different fan bases as you can to try to kind of get a grip of where everything's going to go. And nobody can usually get a grip. I mean, usually we'll be like, hey, we know these guys are going to be first rounders. We don't fully know where they're going, but we do know they will be first round picks. For example, last year you had Cam Whitmore. He was a guy people thought, was he last year or 2 years ago? Either way, he was a guy a lot of people thought would be going top 5 at worst, top 10, fell down to 20. I mean, it happens all the time in the draft where just we don't really know where teams truly lie on prospects. And when I see Bleacher Report and Sports Illustrated, I have a strong feeling about this prospect that the Bulls won't want him, and that is Colin Murray Boyles. I really love the player in Colin Murray Boyles. I talked about him early on in this draft process of somebody I would love for the Bulls to target, and that still remains for the most part true. I really think that CMB would provide a good player for the Bulls. But you look at the construction of this Bulls roster. Modest Buzelis, he has not really consistently hit a 3 at this point. If you're going to be drafting CMB, you're probably moving Modest to the 3, CMB to the 4, because CMB is not going to be a shooter in the NBA. He's going to be very similar to Modest early on in his career of needing to get downhill and getting to the rim and maybe making some 10-foot shots. His jump shot is not there. But defensively, he is the best defender in this class. I think he can guard 1 through 4. I think there are some 5s in the NBA that he can guard. I don't necessarily think he's guarding the best of the best at the 5 position, but I do think there are some centers in the NBA that he could hang with. CMB is, if you talk about the Bulls and their idea of getting switchable guys defensively and getting guys that can play multiple positions, and that's kind of how we've seen them go. Sure, CMB fits a role. He fits that he could play the 3 or the 4, but the shooting, the spacing alongside Josh Giddey, when you think your Josh Giddey's your long-term answer at point guard, when you already have a wing in Modest Buzelis that still needs to come along a little in his three-point shot, I don't think the Bulls will be interested in a guy that can't really stretch the floor at this point of his NBA career. I think when you see him on a team, it could be like the Thunder, you'll be like, well, how did this guy get there? And then you're going to look at kind of what the system is that's around him, and you're going to realize they're not asking him to be much of an offensive threat, but when he's in there, he finishes at the rim. He's a switchable defender, can guard anybody on the court. Like an Alex Caruso of the Thunder, he can go anywhere on the court and defend somebody. I think that's really where CMB's calling card is going to be. But I don't think the Bulls are in play for CMB. I do like the player, but for Bleacher Report and Sports Illustrated, I am going to give them a C- because I don't want to throw out any Ds, but as close as you can get to a D+. It's as close as you can get to a D+. I like the player. I like the player in CMB, but I'm not gonna give them the satisfaction of breaking I'm gonna give them a D+, because I don't want to say that about Colin Murray Boyles. I like the player, but I don't think the fit is there for the Bulls. Next, we have CBS Sports. CBS Sports. They have the Bulls taking Jeremiah Fears. And this one, I'm gonna cut to the chase. I'm giving it a C- immediately. I don't understand why CBS Sports would have them drafting another guard. You're paying Josh Giddey this offseason, presumably. You have Kobe White, who you're about to be paying. I would assume who has had to switch to the 3 because your guards had a logjam and he wasn't really being utilized the best because they needed him to be in there and defend. And then if you're behind the other 2 guards, you're not getting as much time. So he's playing the 3 a little bit out of position because he's one of their best defenders, if not their best defender. You look at the backups. You're trying to trade Lonzo. Javon Carter's still around. Does Trey Jones come back? You're looking at Dalen Terry's around. Yes, you look at Lonzo, Dalen Terry, Javon Carter. Those are guys that probably aren't in the long-term plans. Lonzo sounds like he's on he's going to be getting traded this offseason. Javon Carter, pretty much just going to be salary matching contract at this point. Dalen Terry, we basically told him, hey, we're not gonna negotiate with you. If we resign you at the end of next season, you're basically gonna have to prove it. So there is a need for a backup guard, but is there a need for it at 12? With the other options on the board, not really. And I look at Jeremiah Fears, and I have Kasper Shakashonis and Yegor Dimon in this same category of, yes, they're really good players. They are. But I don't understand the need for the Chicago Bulls to draft one of them at this point. The only way I would draft one of them at this point is post Kobe White. Like, you're trading Kobe White. That is a plan that you have set in stone. We're not going back on it. We're thinking about life after Kobe White and getting some out of him instead of re-signing him. Then I understand it. And until I know for sure the Bulls' position on Kobe White and whether he will be traded or not, I'm going to sit at a C- on this. I do like Jeremiah Fears, the player. Once again, said it the other day. I have a soft spot for a lot of those Illinois guys that were almost at Illinois. Didn't end up coming. Jeremiah Fears, Yegor Dimon. Obviously, I have a soft spot for Will Riley and Kasper Shakashonis. But I like the player. Unfortunately, though, I just don't see there being a huge need when you have guys like Ace and Newell, even Carter Bryant. You look at maybe Noah Sangay. There's a lot of forward potential here at this spot. And I think you're missing out because I think you can get a okay guard in the second round, whether it's a Tyrese Proctor or even a Mark Sears, even though I don't really particularly want him. You could find somebody in the second round that has some good talent at that guard position, whereas I think the forward depth and the big men depth kind of thins out, especially if we're talking about Maxime Reynaud and Ryan Kalkbrenner and these guys possibly being late first-round picks. Hanson Yang, does he make it there to the next pick? I think really you're truly just finding who you're going to be committing to defensively in your interior here at this spot. So that is why I'm giving Jeremiah Fears a C- for their mock draft. Next, we're going to get into, you know what, I'm going to say the big one for last. Yahoo Sports, we will do you next. They have the Bulls projected to take Drake Powell, and I've been aware of this for the last couple days. That Drake Powell, obviously, he's one of the two players that we really know of that are at least first-round caliber talents in Ace and Newell and Drake Powell that the Bulls have brought in for a workout. Is that at 12? I think it's a little early for that. But then again, you look at the Bulls and what they have done in the past with Patrick Williams, with Dalen Terry. They are not afraid of taking a guy 6, 7, 8, in some cases 10 picks earlier than maybe they should go. They're not afraid. They don't back down from kind of their stance on, if we think Patrick Williams is going to be this, if we think that, we're just doing it. We're not going to go off of where Patrick Williams was projected. We're not going to go off of kind of where Dalen Terry was projected. We're just going to get our guy. And I could see that being the case here with Drake Powell. I think if you traded potentially back up into the first round, maybe around that 18, 19 spot, 19 I think would be the Nets' next pick. If you could get that pick, I think Drake Powell would be a very strong pick. But at 12, it's a little too early. But the news here for the ring... Well, no, this is not the ring. The news here for Yahoo Sports is, guess what? You get an A. You get an A because I think it's actually a likelihood of happening. And that's what we are grading these mock drafts on, are how likely I think it is that the Bulls pick it. I think it is extremely likely you see the Bulls take Drake Powell potentially earlier than some boards have him, and it's kind of what you come to expect with the Chicago Bulls, if I'm being honest with you. But Drake Powell, an interesting player nonetheless. It would be a little bit of a reach at 12. You'd probably want to see him picked about 5-6 picks later than that at the earliest. But the Bulls are a team that is willing to gamble on their guy. We've seen it time and time again. Drake Powell could be that guy. And next, we are giving the Ringer. I'm going to give them a B. They have the best player mocked to the Bulls that I think you could possibly get at 12, and that's Kaman Malawach. I don't know if Kaman Malawach will make it here. The mock drafts are kind of all over the place with him. He was a lock for top 10. Now you're starting to see some mock drafts have him a little outside of it, towards the late end of the lotto. If Kaman Malawach was there at 12, I am running up to the podium. I am screaming his name into the mic, and I am not considering anything else that anybody says. Oh, I'm not answering no calls for a trade up. I'm not giving up Malawach. I'm not, because you look at Malawach and yes, you're looking at a guy that his offensive game is developing, and obviously we talked about CMB kind of not having that offensive game at the moment. Malawach is a decent shooter. He hasn't been playing basketball for too long. It's only been a couple years, I believe, but he's came along a long way, and you're seeing the tools, and you're seeing in the gym he can hit the jump shots. As a big man, he can stretch the floor. Now he's just got to kind of put it all together. He has all the tools. Obviously, defensively, really solid at Duke. At Duke, he was at times the third, fourth option, because obviously you had Cooper Flagg, Con Knipple, you had Tyrese Proctor there, you had Sion James there, you had Isaiah Evans there. Those are all guys that took shots away from Kaman Malawach, and you didn't really see much Malawach offense. And I think there is some offensive game to be had there. When I'm looking at Kaman Malawach, I kind of see a trajectory that could be similar, maybe to like a Miles Turner. Miles Turner, obviously a really good defensive player, but he's also a guy that can stretch the floor. I think Kaman Malawach, I think it will take some time, kind of like it did Miles Turner early on in his career, but I think Kaman Malawach could be that guy where 2 or 3 years down the line, now he's a viable three-point shooter. Now he can stretch the floor. He might not ever be a 20-point per game scorer. That's not what you're getting. You're getting probably a 10-and-10 guy with maybe 2 blocks a game. That's what you're getting here. That's a long-term starting center in the NBA. You guys really desperately need a starting center. Vooch is not your long-term solution. You figure you probably trade him. Stick Smith, not your long-term solution. Not a bad backup. Zach Collins, same thing there. If Malawach is there, he is 110% my pick for the Bulls. If I were on the staff, I'd be picking him. I would be picking him instantaneously. But I'm giving it a B because I don't know if it is really likely that Kaman Malawach is there. But shout out to the Ringer for having... Oh no, we missed one. We missed the Fox Sports. So, Kaman Malawach, you weren't the guy to cap off the episode. We're actually capping it off with my least favorite target. My least favorite target of the group here, and that is Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant. Obviously, you look at Kaman Malawach, the offense was not super there. Carter Bryant's the same thing. He's the same thing. He's smaller. I don't know that he'll ever be the defender that Kaman Malawach projects to be. But when you look at Carter Bryant and you look back at Patrick Williams, there are two very toolsy players. You've swung and missed on Patrick Williams, and you're banking here on Carter Bryant having the mindset to put it all together. I could see a world where Carter Bryant is the pick, and that is why I'm going to give it also a B. I'm gonna keep him up with Malawach because the defensive upside is there. He's a solid defender at the college level. He'll probably be a solid defender and have to make his money early on in the NBA on the defensive side. But he's also a developing offensive player, and it really scares me. It really scares me when you have a wing or when you have a guy that you're drafting at that position to either run the 3 or 4 that hasn't really scored that much in the college game. It worries me more so than the big men, because the big men go get some rebounds. Carter Bryant, will the rebounds translate? Will everything translate? And it is a lot of Patrick Williams syndrome. It really is. But Carter Bryant, I would be okay with. As long as the mentality checks out. It's got to be somebody that's willing to grind. It's got to be a dog. It cannot be another guy that's just happy to be there, another guy that's just going through the motions. He's got to put it all together. He's got to put it all together, and you got to be confident that he's going to do that. So there you have it. Once again, I'm gonna act like we ended off Malawach. Shout out to the Ringer for giving us Khammat Malawach at the end of the video here today. Let me know down below whose mock draft you are the most favorite, whose mock draft is your favorite. Was it Khammat Malawach? Was it CMB? Was it Jeremiah Fears? Was it Carter Bryant? Was it Drake Powell? Or was it Nick Clifford? So let me know down below who you are kind of looking for the Bulls to get. I know a lot of Bulls fans are really locked in on the big men for the right reasons, right? What if they're not there? What if they're not there? Then are we okay with a Carter Bryant? Are we maybe going for Nick Clifford and a guy that can contribute right away? Or maybe you are talking about a CMB, or maybe you are talking about maybe somebody further down the line, a Thomas Sorber or Rasheer Fleming, who don't really seem to be the options here for the Bulls at the moment. So let me know down below what you think. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.